Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to another week, another episode of Industry Chats. We are incredibly happy and excited to be back this week. And I am very excited that we are no longer iced in here in Texas. Quick intro if you're just tuning in for the first time. So, Industry Chats is a weekly live show put on by our company Affixify. We are a tech and resource partnership matching platform. So, if you're not familiar, reach out to us. But today we are going to dive into an awesome topic with my friend Markus over at GauVendi. Markus, welcome to the show today. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thanks, Jasmine. Really excited to be here.
You're coming to us today from Germany.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the sky behind me looks a little bit more promising than actually the weather is. Yeah.
What is
So,
your weather today? Is it cold?
yeah, it's cold and a little snowy, right? Also a little bit icy, but it's supposed to
Yeah.
be. It's winter time.
It's winter. We're like back to springtime this week. So I'm a little bit envious of your winter, but we're so excited. So Markus, you and I have had many conversations over the last 2 years about GauVendi, and then you recently became an Affixify partner. And so I think it made perfect sense to have you as one of our guests today. So for those that watch the show regularly, they know that we really focus on educational topics, but I am very excited for you to do a quick rundown on what GauVendi does because you guys have a very unique product and platform. So before we jump into the meat of the conversation today, would you just give us a couple minute introduction on the company, on the product, and of course on you as well? We would love to hear.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as you said, the name GauVendi comes from, first of all, comes from Latin. It's called Gaudium, which is the joy, and Venditio, which is sales. And that's what we are. We're a sales platform, right?
Mm,
We are enabling hospitality providers to sell their inventory, which is usually rooms and
yeah.
services, in a very unique, dynamic, and differentiated way.
Mhm.
And also personalized. So we go on property management system and then enable new booking technology and new distribution solutions. And we're bridging pretty much the gap between the inventory on a
Mm,
granular level and on a feature level, make it searchable and bookable, and for guests and meeting basically that gap what they actually want. So we call it
okay.
dynamic inventory, and
Okay.
that's what the platform is about.
And so this is a matching type of
Mm.
platform, right? You're helping. Can you explain the matching piece of it? Obviously, I love that part because we do the same in our own way, but talk a little bit about the matching piece.
Yeah, the matching piece is like that. So on one side you have real estate, you have, let's say, individual room units, and usually we cluster them into categories. And we went away from that. So we're basically saying the room number 201 could be anything it wants to be. So we could sell the room number 101 or 201 in Jasmine's favorite room.
Mm,
And because you're searching, or you can sell it as a high floor away from the elevator, like in an attribute way. So we can take that room, highlight the benefits of the room matching to the actually consumer
wow.
signals when they're buying. Right. So if I'm coming
Wow.
with
Yeah.
kids and stuff like that, so don't show me any kind of small room, show me rooms next to each other and stuff like that. So that's what we call matching. So it's an intent-based
Yeah.
match, if you so will, between inventory, the right unit, changing the labeling, highlighting the
Mm,
benefits of that room unit, and then matching it to the right person to maximize the willingness of pay. That's what we call
yeah.
matching.
It's it's brilliant. Well, as a consumer myself, right? I travel with 3 kids, and so
Yeah.
the idea that you could speak to what that looks like, there's certain things that I don't care about in a booking process, and then things that are really important to me when I have, my 3 boys in tow. So, I think it's really, really brilliant. And tell me a little bit, how long have you guys been around? I'd love to hear a little bit of that too.
Yeah, we actually created the company 5 years ago, and then we launched the product, the first MVP product, if you so will, 2023 or so, right? So we
Okay.
got the first live, and so now we keep on running. So we have many new products, 2.5 years, 3 years, growing steadily. And obviously, when you do something like that, it's a green field, it's a green slate,
Yeah.
right? You always
Right.
have to translate to the category world. So obviously we have a lot of learnings, and that's
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting journey.
Yeah. Well, I think it's cool to see your journey, and now I'm hearing your name quite often, and I understand from a startup perspective going from we're new, look at us to now getting some of that visibility is so exciting. And you guys really have a unique point of view and perspective. And so I want to dive in today to kind of what we're going to talk about. We have a couple of things, we will go through. And of course, for our live audience, please do ask questions. But your first point in our pre-show notes really stood out to me because you talk about, AI is opening up search, but we know that there has to be a true product differentiation. And I get a lot of opinions on our show about AI. And so I'm really curious, just to kick us off, talk to me a little bit about what's your take on the whole AI search, situation we're
Yeah.
in hospitality, because it's a huge topic. And then we can talk a little bit about how to differentiate.
Yeah, I think the whole situation reminds me pretty much at the times where when we had search engine optimization, right? And Google were there, and we're trying to get the first ranking in Google,
Yeah.
and now, and that's basically kind of like, how do we get found by AI agents? How do we get found on all these platforms? So how do we deliver our information basically to these platforms, and how do we get a competitive advantage? And it's pretty much still a question mark, a big question mark, right? So there's a lot of things, all trying out stuff. And obviously, yes, you have to be connected, right? So everybody's connected to Google and Google Hotel Center, and we're pushing availability rates and everything in there. And it will eventually happen with all the AI platforms as well, if it's not already. I mean, we did our ChatGPT application as well, like other companies, but it's still not. I mean, let's put it this way: you still have to have the application, right? So you have to still download the application. It's not like you just type something into Gemini or ChatGPT and then you will be found. So, but the point is, eventually that will happen, right? Whatever channel we get through, we will get that availability in there. And the question is then, who's going to come up first? And we already seen that people are going the advertising model, like OpenAI, this thing.
Yeah.
So the question is really, how can we then how can we get first listed? Because eventually people were just searching, okay, give me a room. I need a room 2 nights in New York, da, 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 da. So who's going to come up first, right? With this kind of criteria. And then we have to end up with some type of a ranking logic, which comes probably back down to money or advertisement dollar or whatever you want to call it. And so we said, the one big advantage we have as our logic is now, we have much more granular types of products. So we can, and that's what we do with our applications. It's not about find me the right hotel in New York. It's about what is the right room with the requirement in the context of my travel in New York for that time. And maybe there's a room with an 80% match in this hotel, and another room is a 95% match in another hotel. And, and there's a trade-off between these things. And I think that's what we're trying to do. And this is where the whole AI, the whole large language models, pretty much what we're talking about, is helping us to do that, because now we can, the paradox of choice goes away. So we can list all these different unique products which we have. And then somehow the agent will suggest, according to the profile and context I'm giving them, the right product for me. And I think that's so great.
I mean, my mind is blown. So are you saying, I mean, typically we don't focus on product, but now I got to know. So for example, I've been to New York countless times. We all have, right? In hospitality. I very rarely have stayed at the same place, just because that's how the nature. Where's your conference? Where are your meetings? I think Marriott Marquis had, a few of my stays, but naturally. But so now I'm wondering, are you saying that through GauVendi, I could say, hey, these are my requirements. And you would say, well, here's all the different inventory we have listed. And based on those, you could stay at this hotel versus I know I want this hotel. Now find me a room within that property that meets my need. Is that, or you do both?
Yeah, well, but actually, we obviously want to do both, or we're doing both. At the moment, we only do it with who provides, I mean, inventory we provide or using us, obviously. But this is exactly where we're going to. It's a classical example. It's like there's an element of surprise. I mean, I'm going for different contexts of reasons. Maybe you don't want to stay at the Marquis, as you said, all the time. I stay there myself. But but maybe you want to stay maybe you want to stay in Brooklyn, right? So who knows, right? So for that particular trip. And and but you want to have specific requirements. Maybe you want a great
Right.
view, you like views. In this case, you're coming alone, or you go with your partner, and in this case you want to have a big bed, which is more important than the view, because you don't want to
Right.
have the two separate beds or whatever.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
there's different things. And what we are saying is that we can match not just the hotel, but saying for that travel context, I want a big
Mm,
bed, I want a good view for this, and
yeah.
somewhere around maybe 10 minutes tube ride to XYZ. And
Wow.
then you can find me the right unit within
Mm.
these hotels
Yeah.
for
I
the
mean,
right
that's
price.
phenomenal. I mean, it really is phenomenal, and something that AI has opened up so many avenues
Yeah.
for us. And I love your take, because so many people approach us with AI is scary, or what's it going to do? But in your use case, it's like, no, it's actually really enhancing your travel and making sure that you're spending your money on the right use case for you.
Yeah.
Right. So I think
Yeah.
it makes so much sense. How do you look at like AI in general? I mean, we ask most of our guests this. So in general, I think the sentiment has become a couple of things: either curiosity, but maybe not ready to adopt it, or is it going to take jobs? Or, hey, this is very empowering. Like, just you as a person, where do you stand on this topic?
There's so many levels of that, to be honest with you, right? I mean, on one side, the development it can be quite scary, right? Because
Yeah.
what can it be do? What can it do? On the other side, when you look at the reality, it's still about the data and connectivity, and making that data available. Otherwise, what can you do, right? So it's like, if you today search for something and put me a trip together, then there's a lot of false stuff in there. It's not the ideal thing. It's because
Mhm.
it can only work with the data it has.
Right.
I think in general, it's a fantastic, useful tool. It's kind of like, it's kind of like the moment we had, when we the Ford moment, right? So we have horses. People wanted to have faster horses. Now they get a car. Now we get AI. So there's going to be
Yeah.
many new opportunities. I think that's more my take. It's more opportunistic, I have to say. Not so scary. Yes, it will make certain things redundant.
Hmm.
Probably, very likely, of course, and should be, because maybe these
Yeah.
things are not nice to do anyway, right? Who wants to do repetitive stuff and all the stupid things? So we want to
All the-
spend our time. We want to spend our time, and it's a great opportunity for hospitality, right? Because
yeah.
hospitality has an element of being hospital. So it is something of, it's a social thing as well, right? So I mean,
Mm.
it's basically giving us the opportunity to have better guest engagement, because we can
Right.
automate all that stupid stuff behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, absolutely. I actually fall in your camp too, because I think, to your point, I actually have used the whole concept of, I read a book to my kids, and it talks about when trains came about, and they were used to like horse and buggy. And now these trains were helping to make travel easier. And there was some fear around that. And I had told my kids, well, imagine if they could look ahead all these, 100 years later and see airplanes. Like now they're, we're flying through the air. It's just part of our life. I think AI will just become that. Like,
Mm.
when the internet came around, nobody thought it would make it. And now we all have companies built on the internet. So I do think AI will be that. But you said the word automation, and I think that's a really nice segue, because we have this other topic, right? Of, does automation enhance hospitality? I think, what you're saying is very valuable. It can really enhance the ability then for the guest, whoever it is at the front desk, or whoever it is at the property, to interact. But what do you think, as far as how are we using automation correctly? And
Yeah.
is there a risk that it could, your words said, possibly erode these moments, which I think is really
Yeah.
good wording. What do you think?
I could erode these moments, and it will do, especially when it comes to the room units. I mean, it has this kind of effect to me. Remember the times where these call centers were all automated, and you had this, when you want this, dial one. I mean, like today normal,
Yeah.
right? Or you have AI agents, dial this. If you don't fit into a category, it's impossible to get through
Hmm.
anybody, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm afraid that this will happen with hospitality, because if you automate, let's say automate what we are doing, the room choices. If you work with categories, forget any best wishes or whatever. I mean, how do you want to do that? It's not going to
Yeah.
happen. You're
Right.
just going to get a room. We're going to decide which room you're going to get if you're bad luck, if you want a special wish, so it's so this could be this is for me kind of a scary situation, the automation. And we're driven so much into automating that we talk about automation, we're not talking about customer experience anymore. That's not good. I think the focus must be customer experience, and then you automate where that supports your customer experience. And there's no right or wrong, right? So if I'm a completely autonomous hotel is already existing, that's fine. But then I'm expecting the price to be lower, whatever, depends on the maybe location, and then I'm expecting that experience. But if I'm going on vacation, or I just want to have a really nice time in New York, for example, I want to go out with my kids as well, etc., then maybe I don't want that autonomous hotel. I maybe want people. I want a different experience. And I think that's a danger. I think the fear is more for all these brands in the middle, right? Not the luxury ones, not the low cost carriers, I want to say low cost hotels, but all the ones in the middle, because they have the biggest pressure. How do they differentiate their brand and their customer experience? And where do they automate where it's smart and sensible? And I think a lot of people just go for the automation because they have to, but we got to think through where, what does it do with my brand and my customer experience? And if that's not good, and I can be interchangeable with another one, and I'm let's say I'm a mid-scale hotel, and I'm acting like I'm an economy hotel, it's a problem.
It's a problem. Well, especially, I mean, I keep thinking of your example in New York. There are endless options, right? So it's not hard for a consumer or a traveler to ditch one for the other if there's nothing memorable about it. And I do think sometimes we have, I think, a risk with tech, although, we're both in hotel tech, to where it becomes too automated, too smart, to where then the guest doesn't even have anything memorable to look back on. And most of our staff got into hospitality for experiences, not necessarily for good technology. So I think, you're spot on there. And I do think that's where your topic of differentiation comes in too, is just making sure that you have something that stands out. Guest loyalty and good reviews and things like that will follow.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think that's very important. And I think we have to look at the retail sector, right? And this is always our big examples we use. I mean, how was it possible for Nike to make such an emotional product with a sneaker, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about that. So what is a hotel room? It's much more emotional than a sneaker. So there must be much more potential to sell it. And I think this is where our angle comes in. And even for retailing, the cups you buy with your name on it, when you just go there, people just buy 5 times more for it just because your name is on it, or the great campaigns Coca-Cola has. All these retail tactics, right?
Right.
We can use them in hospitality to make great experiences, because an experience already starts with your head. It starts already with the expectations you set, right? It's not necessarily, people do not know always what they want. That's the whole point. And I think we're bringing that retail mindset into the hospitality sector. And that's, for me, experience. It's really brand positioning. It's selling experiences. Even if it's an economy hotel, you can have the room of the month. You can have, this is Jasmine's favorite, Markus' favorite room. These are the different names, right? We sell the rooms for a campaign. We can do that with our technology. And this is where I'm coming to, because if you stay in the room where you say, hey, I know Jasmine, and that's her favorite room, I want to stay in there. What does she like about that room? So, I mean, it's like, it's already starting the experience there, right? So it doesn't matter. My expectations would be more, okay, I'm going in the mindset of Jasmine's favorite room now. And I'm not expecting anything other than, I'm surprised about maybe things you may like.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. That's an experience.
That's the experience. Yeah. I mean, I think it makes so much sense. I know for me, I'm like, if I'm with my kids, we need free breakfast because they eat so much, I mean, just having that knowledge, and we can use technology to enhance that experience easily. So to your point, I mean, I think it has to be an enhancement and not something that overtakes, what the guest is expecting. And so I now have a question, because you guys have a new product, right? Is Matcher your new product, or is this, I want to hear about this, and how does it weave in?
We're launching this. I mean, it's ultimately what we're saying is, how can we, I mean, we asked ourselves this already, how can we combine our dynamic inventory approach with a large language model, right? And then we created this chatbot, which basically enhance it a little bit so it can answer the basic questions like any hotel chatbot will do. So we did that as
Mm.
well, and also combines the dynamic inventory concept. So basically becomes your reservation desk chatbot, if you so will, which we put on the website of hotels. And then when you can go and just ask, hey,
Mm.
I want to come with my wife 3 nights in May, right? What do you have for me, right? I like to read books and do whatever or whatever. And then it gives you personalized
Nice. Okay.
products back, right? Not just, oh, here's a package XYZ and you can choose our deluxe room and suite. No, then you get say, hey, I'm coming back to my favorite room. Here's Verena's favorite room because she likes to read as well. And she likes that room because of this. And by the way, here's our lighthouse view room, which is great if you enjoy a moment, if you like great views,
Mm.
for example.
Yeah,
And here's the lowest price. So,
I love it.
Bob, what do you want? And then you go say, do you want me to explore other rooms which are maybe quietly located, if you
Mm.
whatever it is, or have a better view even? And that's the kind of consultative selling we bring into that chatbot, preemptive. And you can ask them, when is the breakfast times and when is this and when is that and what can I do on the island and can I bring my dog or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
so that's a chatbot which we're launching now, which we call Matcher, and that's Matcher because we go that step beyond just normal chatbots.
Well, I like it because it's almost like you said consultative. It's like talking to a friend or a travel agent, somebody that can
Yeah.
really help you navigate. And I think that's a very smart use. It also helps the hotel, they're starting with a great experience already. Like the guest is walking in the door and they've already started that experience. I think we've learned that through the years, right? Like guest experience starts way before the actual stay does. So this really does enhance that. Now, when is this being released?
Well, we're just doing the piloting right now with a couple of properties. We're launching it. We're basically just in the implementation phase right now. We're just doing on the beta side. So we want to do it in March. I mean,
Okay.
that we launched the product. There's the big show called ITB in Berlin,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So we want to be ready for that. So we're going to make that. I mean, there's so many use cases we want to cover, but at least we have like 4 or 5 properties which are live with this chatbot, and then see how it goes, right? And I think the beauty of it is again, I mean, maybe just to why is it very different? If you
Mm.
think about the normal inventory people have, let's say you have a 100-room hotel, people have maybe 6 to 8 categories, and then the price plans, that's what they have. A 100-room hotel for us has maybe 250 products.
Yeah.
So imagine that the LMM, they check the 250 products availability, which could be linked to the same unit. Like there could be 5
Mhm.
products linked to the same unit,
Sure.
but it's a much more personalized way of selling
Mm.
and a much better impact than just sending that. And I
Yeah.
think that will make the difference.
Well, and it just enhances direct bookings, because you're not going to
Yeah.
get that kind of
Yeah.
recommendation through an OTA. So I think it's brilliant. And I have a question I like to ask our founders on the show. But when it came to GauVendi and all of this, what was your aha moment where you realized this is a need, we've got to do this, or we're solving a problem? Like, can you think of that moment?
Yeah, there's two. Well, there's two. I mean, one is I come from the hospitality side, right? So you used to work for the big chains, and I open a lot of hotels. And when we get to the opening of the hotel, there's usually that walk around the hotel, right? So we're talking about how do you going to position it. I'm the sales and marketing guy. I'm working with the general manager and all these guys,
Sure.
and we're walking through this. That. And then I mean, every hotel we opened or every time the question comes up, hold on a minute, what room type is this supposed to be again, this unit? Why is this why do you call it a deluxe room again? Why is this a standard room, or why is this a deluxe room? Oh, we don't have enough room types to to upsell.
Mhm.
Oh, we need to maybe buy a couple coffee machines, put them in the room and call them superior room, right? So this was always a conversation. I said, that cannot be right. I mean,
Yeah.
what is this, right? Why can't this is one thing. And then the other problem we constantly have when we opened hotels in different countries, our salespeople became in some countries, or actually in every country almost, better reservation agents because the clients were calling our sales guys and say, hey, especially in the
Mm.
Middle East, yeah, Habibi, I want to, I need this and this and this. Take the reservation. It's me. I want special treatment. I want the best room. I want this. I want that. And the salespeople did the reservation because they knew exactly what the client wanted, and we got
They
that
knew it.
request And that's the same for the agents, right? The virtuoso agents. The salespeople were saying, this is a family so-and-so from Argentina. They need a really quiet room. They're always coming with me. Please give them that. This can only be the corner rooms and all this kind of stuff. So they had all these special crazy wishes, right? And said that cannot be right. And we cannot do anything about it because we don't manage our inventory like this. And even if you go into a hotel, even it can be a very big brand name, and said, hey, do you still have a room maybe to the south side or this one? There's no chance that you get it because the front office person not even knows, right, what the units are. I mean, go to the marquee. They have no clue, right?
No. Well, I mean,
I know, nothing against them, but they have 1,000 rooms.
Yes.
How can they know? They know the categories. They know that, but that's it.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, it's phenomenal. I love hearing that. And I think what you did, you lived your, like we always say, like, did you live the problem you're solving now? And you definitely did. And so you get it. You've walked in your buyer's shoes. And I personally have learned so much from you. I really appreciate your perspective, like I said, and your point of view on AI. And Markus, so for our listeners, where can they find you? Of course, they're Affixify. So if you want to learn about GauVendi, visit Affixify. But also, if they just want to follow you, keep in touch, ask questions, where's the best place for them to do that?
Well, the best place would be to go on our website and just book a meeting. We're very approachable guys, and we're traveling around the usual I would say travel shows. Okay. Not too much the States at the moment, but yeah, I mean we do have a lot of video calls about this time.
Okay.
And make time available. Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being our guest. It was just an honor to have you. And if you're watching live, this episode will be on YouTube as well. We will be back next week with Amy Infante, who is the founder of GetGo. They are a commercial strategy company for hoteliers. So join us next Wednesday at 12 o'clock Central. And Markus, we are so grateful for you and your partnership. And we can't wait to see how Matcher does in the market. It's going to be great.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, it'll be great. Awesome. Well, we will see everybody next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.